Hi everyone, my name is Della Phillips. I'm an artist as well as I'm known as the Bicycle Lady. How you doing today? I'm doing great. From the items on my desk, pretty much discern hopefully, is that I'm going to be drawing a pattern for the color wheel because I want to make a color wheel part of my next step in exercises of painting watercolor, in addition to continuing practice on brushwork. The color wheel pattern I'm going to be looking to do, it's not going to be the ones like you see on the back here, where you have all the different rings and you have the primary color on the outside and different mixes like the white and the neutral tint at the different levels. Instead, what I want is the 12 colors on the outer ring type of pattern. And there's ways that you can do this. You can go to the internet and download a free pattern and print it out if you're lucky enough to have a laser printer where you can print that out on watercolor paper and the printing doesn't run. Or you can print it out and transfer it over to your watercolor paper. Or the option I'm going to do here is draw it directly onto the watercolor paper. Different ways you can draw this is using a ruler, a compass, so you can make the circle, and a protractor, which, keep in mind, each segment, since it's 12 equal segments, would be a 30-degree pie cut or angle in the circle from the center point. I don't have a protractor, so what I'm going to be doing is using a compass and a ruler. What you're seeing me doing here is finding the halfway point at the bottom of the paper, since this is an 8.5 by 11, and then that way I know the center, vertical center, and I have it there. Now some people draw a straight line directly through that. I don't want to do that because I don't want the 12 o'clock position taken up with a vertical line. I would prefer to have the segment used for the yellow color on the color wheel at the top at the 12 o'clock position. So what I'm doing is I mark a line towards the middle, and then I'm going to do like a crosshair, and then I do a horizontal crosshair by finding the middle, which I just finished there. Now I have a compass. It's basically close to 2 inches. I'm not sure. I just kind of eyeballed it. That will make the inner circle. Now before I make the circle using that point, a trick you can do is put down a piece of tape and then remark your crosshairs. I use a medium tack type of drafting tape. You can use a drafting die or artist or washi tape. Just be sure you can still see the crosshair lines after you mark it if you do have pattern on your tape. So that is done. Now I'm ready to make the circle. Now I'm going to say up front, I'm a little bit compass challenged these days because at times I do have a tiny bit of a tremor. That comes and goes. I guess that comes with age. I'm telling on myself there. So please keep that in mind and give me a little slack there. But I'm making this circle, and hopefully you can see this pretty good that I've made this circle. Now I'm not going to change this and draw the outer ring yet, because I'm going to need that radius that the compass is set to that made the circle, and I'm going to show you why. Now, instead of taking that vertical line directly up to the 12 o'clock position, I marked it to the side, because I want to keep that 12 o'clock position going through the portion for the yellow position on the color wheel. What we're going to do now is leave the radius the way it is, and I'm right now double checking and making sure that when I have the one point, stationary point on the outer point on the circle exactly, and it should line up perfectly with the point in the center, and then I take it out and I mark position on the outside ring of the circle. Now this, you can end up being very precise, but if you're off just slightly, it can be a tiny bit cumulative. It depends on the width of the circle and making sure you get the point exactly where it crosses. If it's off maybe a 32nd of an inch when it comes around, that's no big deal. This is a color wheel. It's not a precision drawing, precision engineering drawing. But essentially it will be equal parts. It may be off maybe, like I said, a 16th to the 32nd, which in this case it was about. So I just split the difference. Essentially, it is equal distance. So now we have the circle essentially divided up into 6 equal parts. But you're saying, Della, you said it's going to be 12 parts. Well, if you remember your geometry in grade school, I believe it was first taught to me, maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th grade. Now, it's been over 40 years, so I don't remember exactly what grade. But what you do is you want to bisect an angle. And you put it at the radius point, which is here, on the outside of the circle where the mark is. And the radius of that circle, where you have it stationed, you need to have the compass larger. And that way you take the point on the outside of the circle, mark it, and then mark it again. And that gives you the point in which you can draw a line and perfectly bisect that angle into equal parts. So when I get done doing this, going around the circle, that means I now have points in which to draw lines and turn this into 12 equal parts, which is what we want for the color wheel. I'm in the process of finishing that up now, as you see. And in a minute here, I'm almost done. And there. So when I connect the lines, that will give me my 12 equal parts. Now to do that, I do need the outer circle so I can get that color band area there that I want. So again, I'm not doing exact measurement. I'm just making sure that when I draw the circle, it will be on the paper, and I still will have plenty of room to paint in the colors, which this gives me. I'm going to take the ruler, and you see where I have the tick marks for the one on the inner circle. I'll line that up. That should line up with the center point, and if everything's absolutely perfect, it will also line up for the other end. And I'm going to mark just the outer ring with the ink pen here, which will give me my first line. Then the next line, I'll take it from the bisecting angle, which is at the top ring, and that gives me now where I get my first segment. And I'll continue to go around the circle doing that, and that will give me my 12 equal portions for my watercolor color wheel pattern. And once I complete doing this, then what I'm going to do is carefully and to basically freehand follow the circle that I drew, both inner and outer, with the ink pen, and ink that all in. And after that, I'll clean that all up with the pencil marks. I'll erase all of those, and since I have it all inked in, I will have my pattern for my watercolor color wheel. I thought of something else about how the color wheel could be drawn without doing a whole bunch of compass work. At least there'll be a little bit. What you can do is, as I was looking at it, see there's a hole here that a pencil fit in, and you've already got everything equal distance. So essentially what I can do is essentially pretty much eyeball it. Maybe move it over just a bit. That's about right. That looks pretty good top and bottom as well. It's not exact, but it's a good position for it. Hold it down tight and put your dot. Then, while you're holding it down tight, you can trace the outline. Now eventually I will erase this outline because I want to make it smaller and a little bit larger. And look, we've already got our divisions. This way you don't have to do a bunch of compass work of marking the points and then bisecting the 6 divisions into getting 12, because you can just make the reference mark from here. So now we have a circle with the 6 reference point. Now that's bigger than what I would want it to be, and I want the center to be smaller. But I've got the center point and I've got it marked. So I'm already halfway home. All I have to do now is take a compass or a template and set the compass for the smaller diameter of circle, which would probably be about there. I'll place it exactly on that point, and even though I'm compass challenged, as I say, you can just pretty much mark this out. I hope you can see this. I'm going to check into maybe that safety compass, as I have a tendency to not want to press that hard and get off that point. There's the one. I want it larger than this. You can keep it the same size and just go with the division. But I want it a little bit larger than that. So I'm going to take it larger. That's too large. That's about the same size. Let's get it a little bit larger. Okay, that should work well. And this should work well. Okay, let's get that in. And then marked out. And then, of course, I probably should have shifted that a little bit more over, but I just want to quickly jump in here and show this to you. So essentially, it should, everything lines up, which it does. You can do from here to here and here to here. There's one division. And you're going through the center point. And now this tick mark and this other tick mark here. And yes, it does go through the center point. And voila. I moved. Voila. You've got your color wheel equally. You've got your color wheel. So you have your circle equally divided up into 12 points. And you didn't have to do a whole bunch of compass work. So if you don't want to do all the compass work, just if you have a small color wheel like this, put it down. I should have probably put it like that. Draw the circle around it. Mark the tick marks. And if you want it smaller on this side and larger, you can. You could even add additional rings so you can do the, like on the back with the different mixes with the white, the neutral tint black, and so forth.